so alone, I can't get old. I'm so alone. I'm so alone, I can't get off of you. For you love yourself. For you love yourself and no one else. The bitter root of self. Come on, baby, we're tough babies. One last trip to hell. Come on, come on, come on, can you feel it? Come on, come on, come on, can you feel it? Low in you, slow in you, it's the glow in you. Wild card, bitches!
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on what might be our one last trip to hell in this 2022-2023 wildcard edition of this ridiculous video series. This week, your NFC North Division champs, Minnesota Vikings, host the Giants for the second time in 3 weeks? 4 weeks? They played them on Christmas Day. The good news, right, is that we beat them. The bad news is that it took a last-second field goal. Before I start to wax poetic about this season and this game, I thought because the Vikings have done the work to make it to the playoffs for the first time in a couple years, and because the playoffs are always a fleeting, terrible joy that we get to experience, we should get a special brew. So this week I am drinking the Goose Island Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. It's kind of a cool bottle and that it's stamped on there. I wanted a little more information on it because it seems like kind of an interesting thing. So, and I quote from their website, "Every year since its inception in 1992, we strive to honor the original Bourbon County Stout recipe. And 30 years later, we continue Gregory Hall's legacy and passion for making the best beer possible, starting with the best barrels the Bourbon Trail has to offer. This year, our Imperial Stout is aged and blended from freshly emptied bourbon barrels from Heaven Hill, Four Roses, Wild Turkey, and Buffalo Trace distilleries. Expect flavors of vanilla, dark chocolate, toffee, molasses, almond, and dried fruit. It is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels, 14.3% alcohol by volume. It does say specifically to enjoy it in a snifter. I do not have one of those, so I will be drinking it out of my Vikings pint glass. Dark and hearty, like I would expect. I can already get some of the sour mash kind of notes, even just smelling it right now. Buckle up, everybody. Skal, fyrir, ther. That is so good. The toffee is what it punches through everything else. The vanilla I kind of get, but that toffee, it tastes like Christmas when I was a kid. Maybe somebody made toffee and I enjoyed it. I'm not sure, but it's so smooth, and the bitterness is there, but not in a way that's like off-putting. It helps. It accentuates the sweetness. Like a salted caramel. Oh. That will get you through the winter and hopefully fortify you for what I imagine is going to be yet another stressful Vikings game. I struggled with where to start this week. I really wanted to have, there's a Family Guy clip. They redid all of the original Star Wars movies, and Peter has a line about how it's messed up that they have to blow up a second Death Star because they already did that. And I wanted to talk about how the Vikings already beat the Giants, and I was going to cut, and it was going to be like, you know, that's the messed up part is we already did this, but I don't have that episode anywhere that would allow me to clip it. So I that was depending on that to launch me, but now I've done the bit, so we can just proceed. So there's really no way to talk about this game without talking about the Viking season. It's odd that they have been the same team throughout. I mean, there's not really a lot of years you can look at like the first half of the season and the second half of the season, or this injury happened and before that injury happened the team played like this, and after, they've been the same team. It's been Kirk Cousins chucking up YOLO balls to Justin Jefferson, who, magnets for hands, pulls everything down. In making my intro videos, when you watch, like, there's not a whole lot of Justin Jefferson being wide open. He's covered, and Cousins just zips it into him and he pulls it down. The games where he doesn't do well seem to coincide an awful lot with the Vikings not doing very well. I was looking at the playoff picture. The Vikings beat 2 of the AFC contenders in the playoffs and lost to 3 NFC contenders. Cowboys, Eagles. Oh, no, they beat the Giants. Okay, so they lost to 2, beat 3, whatever. When they lose bad. And tangent. There was the MVP voting came out and everything, and Justin Jefferson, there's a debate, like, should they even call it the MVP award or just the best quarterback award? Because it goes to quarterbacks almost invariably. Somebody has to have a nuclear season to even get into the conversation, and then you really need the quarterbacks to not do much. I still think, the MVP should almost always go to a quarterback, because if you lose your quarterback, unless you're the 49ers, that's a detrimental issue. That's a problem. But when you look at the Vikings season, when you go back and watch the highlights, when you go back and watch the big first downs, the big touchdowns, the drive-saving plays, it's been Justin Jefferson like every time. I guess KJ Osborne had that one pretty sweet game, but it's been Justin Jefferson. And if you remove him from the Vikings season, I don't think the team struggles to make 500, I think. Who knows, butterfly effect, a million things could change. But what I'm saying is, I understand why he wasn't really in the MVP conversation, but when you consider what he is to this team, what percentage of our offense he makes up, you don't push Megatron's receiving record without you are the focal point of the offense. And maybe, and this is a thing for the offseason or next year, but it's maybe not a good thing if you have a receiver having the season that Jefferson has, because that means he's who you're relying on him all the time. And again, it's not like he's getting wide open. It's just that he's making the catches when Cousins forces the ball to him. So hopefully next year the ball spread around a little bit more. It would have been really cool for him to get that record. Maybe he still will. He's obviously incredibly talented. I'm just saying it's usually not, I don't think it's great if your entire offense revolves around one player, as the Vikings team does. And we see that when teams like the Eagles or the Cowboys or the Packers shut him down, the Vikings team sputters. And we cannot count on our defense to keep us in this game. There were a lot of fantasy sports analysts who were on Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton last time the Giants played the Vikings, because the Vikings defense is so porous. And Danny Dimes, he's not Josh Allen, but he is a big, mobile quarterback, surprisingly mobile. He looks kind of lumbering, but he's got wheels. And the Vikings, in my lifetime, seem to really struggle with quarterbacks who can run. Bringing it back, the Vikings have been the same team all year. A very penetrable defense and an offense that, when it's clicking, looks great, but requires big plays to stay mobile, to keep the ball moving. This week against the Giants have a really good defensive front. I'm concerned that Dalvin Cook will struggle. The pause you're seeing here is me trying to decide if I want to dive into, once again, the establish the run debate. I wasn't going to, but I watched a Vikings Entertainment Network show where, and I'm not, he knows more about football than I do. I'm not disparaging him, but Gabe Henderson from the Vikings Entertainment Network was talking about how the Vikings really need to, get the running game going. They really, and they need to run the ball twice in a row. They can't get a 7 or 8 yard gain and then throw the ball, which they've been doing effectively. But they should run twice in a row and really get that game going. The defense has to respect the run game. It's a bit of a paraphrasing, but it's really close to what he said. And the important thing, the thing that, in my brain, was when he said they need to run the ball twice in a row. They cannot get 8 yards on first down and then do a short pass to Justin Jefferson, which they've been effective at. Right there. Right there. Which they're effective at. If it's effective, why stop? Who says the defense has to respect the run game? If the passing works, look at the Bills. The Bills have been a juggernaut for 2 years just passing the ball, eschewing the run game. If it works, great. Now, you want to be able to run the ball. You want to be able to run the clock out. You want to be able to mix it up. You want to keep the defense guessing. It's good to have balance. But if plan A is working, you don't need plan B. And I'm worried that the Vikings will fall into that trap. So far this year, it hasn't been the case. KOC's offense has been largely pass heavy. But I am worried that they'll try to smash Dalvin Cook into the Giants' defensive front. I think the Vikings can win. I think the Vikings should win. They're at home. That makes a huge difference. But the Giants took them down to the wire last time. So I can't say with any confidence. And I think actually the Giants are healthier than they were that week. So I can't say with any confidence that this is going to be an easy game to watch. I hope it is. I would love for them to just ramp it up, win by 20. Make it a snooze fest for me. That would be amazing. Okay. I'm going to take a quick sip here because I'm breathing fire. It's like melted candy. I hate to be a Debbie Downer. And some of you may have noticed I put that poll up about, which song should I use. I really wanted to use Seether's Let You Down. Great song. It rocks. Hard start. But to Haley's point, it does have a bit of a defeatist tone to it. And I'm trying not to be that. I'm trying to be upbeat. I'm trying to enjoy this, despite the bubbling black bubble of dread, misgiving that I have right here. For no reason at all, not like Decades of Broken Hearts or anything. I also wanted to use Giants by Banks and Steele. Great song, but then Haley said it made it too much about the Giants. So then I went with Glow. It's a great song, kind of a slow build-up, and then it rocks, and then it's, one last trip to hell, because this could be our send-off, Vikings fans. This could be it for the 2023 season. And not to be a Debbie Downer, I feel like I should eulogize the season just a little bit. Rewind a year. We had losing records 2 years in a row. I don't remember if we finished the season with Sean Mannion at quarterback at Green Bay, or if that was week 17 and then week 18 we played the Bears like we always do. I don't remember. But that's what I remember the season kind of ending on, because I think that was we had to win that game to even keep the hope of the playoffs alive. Cousins gets COVID and was out, and we finished with a losing record for the second season in a row. Rick Spielman's gone. Coach Zimmer was gone. And for a lot of teams, when you fire the coach and the GM, look at the Cardinals. It's because you're 4-13 or whatever. You're terrible. And there was all this talk about a rebuild. Do they ship Thielen off? Do they sell this piece? Do they trade this guy? Do they strip it all down, get picks, and try to rebuild? Kwesi and KOC come in with making very few changes, which, I know there's a lot of consternation about the defense. Justifiably so. I don't know if Donatell's back next year. It has not looked good. And there is that conversation about how it was a 4-3 defense and now it's a 3-4 defense, and these players were drafted to play in the 4-3, not the 3-4, and maybe the fit's not right. Maybe there's going to be a lot of moves on the defensive side of things. We don't know. What is true, though, is that call them frauds, call them flukes, call it what you will. KOC coached the crap out of this team this year. They rolled improbable win into improbable win into improbable win. And even though we spent the entire season waiting for the other shoe to drop, we made it to the playoffs in a year, first-year head coach, first-year general manager. It's been fun. We had a chance to get Jefferson, that receiving record. Didn't happen, but what a ride. I'm going to try to channel this energy into today's game as I'm watching it, and I'm going to try not to tilt my face off if they lose, because we're kind of playing with house money. We had a better season than we expected. It was a wild ride. Lots of fun. And there are going to be 31 teams this year whose season ends short of a Super Bowl victory. And at least our story was fun if it ends today. All right. If this is indeed the last game we play, I will be back, maybe not next week, but before the Super Bowl, with a post-mortem on the season and some thoughts going into next year. Until then, for all of you who watch these, share them with your friends. First off, do your friends forgive you for you sending them these links? I don't. Anyway. Skal, fyrir, ther. And go Vikings.